criticism or any kind of criticism actually takes much more energy for that person than to just say it looks fine or it looks nice. So I think that it can be seen as a gift if somebody takes the time, unless they're just an irate maniac, right, that's just angry. But hopefully you can kind of tell the difference. If somebody's taking the time to say, okay, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think, and I'm a very busy person, but here, I care. Sounds kind of weird, but I think it actually can be quite a gift. But I think that really the hardest thing, the harshest critic, of course, is going to be the one you have inside. And that one doesn't really go away, so that's the one that you have to deal with all the time and figure out how to have a relationship. And I think it's that inner harsh critic, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but that's the one that reacts when somebody else says something that you feel tears you apart. If you were totally confident and just totally 100% okay with your work, first of all, you wouldn't really be in a place of questioning and learning, so there might not be very much room for growth. But also, then somebody else's comment, you'd be like, whatever, that's your opinion. but if somebody touches you, then that's room for growth, and maybe not right after they say it, but maybe in 5 years you'll be grateful. Say thank you.
Oh, it's my turn. Oh, it works. I don't know about everyone else here, but I seem to be, oh dear, it's my turn. I seem to spend about 25% of my energy trying to get meetings with my faculty in the MFA. They seem to be very tired, very busy, very professional, very far away. And when they finally come into my studio and sit down and say, Andrew, you're too fucking controlling, just lighten up, they're the kind of conversations I remember. And you know, it's true, often what they're saying to me when I finally pin them down, which is constructive criticism, is what I'm remembering. The meetings that I have where they're saying, oh, that's great, and they seem so exhausted, I'm forgetting. So I thrive on it, actually. I don't think I've heard feedback as consistently harsh as you were describing there, but it's good, and it reinforces things I'm thinking about myself, and shift and change happens for the best.
I think it's also important to remember that art making is kind of, it's sort of like magic or mysticism. It's really difficult to talk about it in a way that's anything other than sort of wild speculation or colloquialisms that have been handed down. I think it's not the individual criticisms that are harsh, it's the big picture that they all sort of put together. And I guess I would surround myself with both people who did not have an interest or an appreciation for what I was doing, and then also those in my camp, because my camp is the right one, right? Because it's difficult to talk about, and I think that's why writing is so important to me, because it's because of that challenge, and I don't look at it as a personal attack. I know it seems that way, but I think it's because we don't have concrete ideas about the things that we make. I think we can convince ourselves we do, but I don't really think that that's the case.
So just for those of you who didn't see our performance at the opening, basically we did this kind of intense makeout session with heart rate monitors on and a projection of our virtual avatars making out as well. And one of my friends told me that someone kind of, they just left and said, there's just places for that. And I don't know if you're here, but thank you. We like that kind of criticism, you know. You can't take things, like Micha said, her first quarter in school, you know, the teacher was like, why are you here? Do you think this is art? You know, and it just really pushed her. And so I think that you have to take that criticism and get what you can. And sometimes it's hard, but not everyone likes the same thing. I mean, no one likes the same thing, so anyway.
And oh crap. I actually like making work that's challenging. I really want to make work that like pisses people off. I mean, Carolee Schneeman did performances where like people jumped on stage and tried to choke her. I aspire to that, you know. I mean, she did performances in the 60s where people were like, or she did a performance in France where people were tearing the seats tearing the cushions out of the seats. I'm like, wow, how do you do that? That's really something to learn. But at the end of that same critique that I was talking about, I think the last thing that she said to me was like, oh, just make it good. And really, like at the end of my first year when I was like busting my ass late at night and editing video into the wee hours, I was like, I'm just gonna make it good. Yeah, it's good now. And it really like stuck with me. And also, I mean, talking to my advisor, like after that meeting, is it time to shut up? Oh, I mean, like I said, I had come to grad school after like a few years of doing activism and like getting pepper sprayed in the street by cops and Minutemen and all that stuff. And my advisor, who had also done a lot of previous activism, was like, well, welcome to a different kind of battlefield. It's also a battlefield, but and you don't have to think about everything as battle, but you can think about it in that way. It's something to learn how to do and something to learn how to navigate. Because I think that everything is political. Obviously the old statement of the personal is political, but beyond that, like who's giving you the criticism, who's sitting at the round table, who's holding the microphone, who paid for this building, everything is political, right? And I think that like really a big part of being in the MFA program for me was like learning how to explain what I want to do in academic terms to the academic art world. And understanding that like the academic art world is not the same thing as like the art world or the art world in Colombia, or is not the same thing as the art world in Los Angeles as the art world in Germany, right? And also, now I'm going on and on. Another thing that I felt like after that harsh criticism that was important for me in my MFA program was like, maybe I picked the easy route, but I picked a committee of people that like I liked and that liked me and that I felt like were supportive and that I could have like a relationship with. And I think that knowing that there are lots of different kinds of professors in the world is good, and you know, finding people that you have affinity with and that are going to be supportive can be a useful thing. I think that's
I just wanted to add one real quick thing to that, because no, I'm not in an MFA program. I too get my share of the criticism. And one thing that I've always sort of is the first thing is that, well, when someone reacts really badly, like, oh, this is places, you know, that sort of reaction, that's good, because it's pretty hard to get someone to not be apathetic in our culture. And so when you can actually get a genuine reaction, not just sort of a blah, that something important has happened. And the second thing is that when I do face, you know, criticism, it's always good because it helps to me to have to clarify and in a way defend what my position is, and to really think if that is in fact my position from the beginning. So I just wanted to add that on because yeah. So do we have time for maybe no more questions? Any burning questions? If we have is it a burning question? Okay.
I'm just curious, at what point in your artistic career did you decide that you wanted to move into the MFA program? And how important was it to you as an artist to pursue it? And what kind of aspects of the MFA program have helped you develop as an artist?
I feel like that's burning questions, but we'll maybe take a couple of responses.
I'll just say it super quickly. I finished my undergrad. I was ready for the world, did not want to be back in an institution, and I went off and made work on my own for 5 years in a whole lot of different contexts in different countries. And it was only when I really wanted kind of high caliber of intelligence and devotion to art making that I came back to look for a sizable community of elders and contemporaries to surround myself with. So I definitely didn't take the A to B